Logic Pro comes with one of the most comprehensive collections of plugins included in any DAW. Just about every kind of real-time effect and processor is provided right out of the box, from the basic mixing tools like dynamics, EQ, and modulation effects, to more creative processing like distortion, pitch manipulation, and imaging, along with a suite of extremely useful metering displays. Logic breaks up its massive plugin collection into categories, and for the most part, these FastTrack courses will more or less follow those groupings. This course will cover Logic's delay and reverb effects, from the classic delay effects like doubling and slap echo, to the more specific modeled options of its virtual stomp boxes, to the various takes on algorithmic reverb. The collection is rounded off by a convolution reverb with one of the most comprehensive IR collections of real spaces and sampled effects. Here's a brief rundown of the various plugins on tap under the general headings of delay and reverb. The most basic delay effects are the sample delay and echo plugins. Sample delay is a simple utility for problem solving, while the echo plugin offers a simple dedicated interface for quick and easy access to that basic effect. Stereo delay is Logic's go-to plugin for the majority of delay needs, from simple doubling to stereoizing to basic slap echo to ping-pong delays and other musical echo effects. And tape delay combines basic delay features with extra controls for simulating the distinctive, warm, thick sound of vintage tape-based delay hardware. Logic's collection of delays is rounded out with Delay Designer. This plugin brings delay programmability to a new level, combining a rich feature set with a graphic interface that should allow the user to design just about any delay effect imaginable. Logic also offers a generous complement of reverbs. The sound and full program and control set of classic simulated or algorithmic reverbs is on hand in no less than 3 reverb plugins. The top-of-the-line Platinum Verb combines its rich, dense reverb algorithms with a comprehensive set of options for controlling everything from size and shape to early reflection patterns and diffusion. SilverVerb provides a slightly trimmed-down version for quick and easy access, with an added LFO for modulation. And Nverb offers a unique interface with an ADSR envelope for customizing the shape of its reverb effects. Space Designer is Logic's Convolution Reverb. A convolution reverb is a sampling reverb, and this one comes with a collection of IRs, or impulse responses, the digital samples of real spaces that can provide both natural, realistic room sounds and special effects. And finally, Pedalboard brings the sound of stompbox delay and reverb effects to the party. Logic's collection of delay and reverb plugins brings their wide range of effects to any session or mix, and they offer both simple, quick preset access and options for comprehensive programming for the more technically minded. But before I jump into the specifics of each plugin, here's a very brief review of the basic technology of delay and reverb effects. As you know, delay effects are created by duplicating a signal, delaying it, and then combining the delayed copy with the original. When the delays are very short, under around 30 milliseconds, human hearing fuses the dry and delay signals, perceiving a single sound with an altered timbre. Modulation periodically sweeps that timbre change for all the classic short delay effects, like chorusing and flanging. I cover those in the course on Logic's modulation plugins. This course focuses on delay effects where the delayed copy is meant to be perceived as a separate signal. This includes doubling, even though it uses relatively short delays of around 15 to 25 milliseconds, and echo, probably the most familiar of all effects needing no explanation, which utilizes longer delays from about 50 milliseconds for short flam-like effects to 100 to 200 milliseconds for the classic slap echo effect, to longer delays, including ones that are synced to the project tempo for musically timed repeats and creative delay-based rhythms. Before digital reverbs came along, there were several ways of creating reverb effects in the studio. Early on, a reverb chamber was a dedicated space, an empty room with highly reflective surfaces. Audio from the studio's control room was sent through speakers, and the resulting room sound was picked up by mics and sent back to the control room, all via tie lines. Later, mechanical reverb devices ruled the roost. A plate reverb was a suspended metal sheet with transducers attached. The sheet would vibrate in response to audio from the attached transducer, and contact pickups would capture the dense reverb-like sound. A spring reverb used a similar design, except with coiled springs instead of the metal sheet. Those are the reverbs found in guitar amps, with their characteristic boingy sound. Today's reverb plugins not only provide the sound of real spaces, but they also offer emulations of these classic reverb devices as well. Algorithmic reverbs, like PlatinumVerb and SilverVerb, create their room simulations by building up many digitally generated delays into a rich, diffuse wash, modeling what happens when multiple reflections build up in a real enclosed space. Real spaces consist of an initial reflection, a distinct pattern of early reflections, and a later, more dense tail of reverberation that gradually dies away. The most capable algorithmic reverb plugins include controls for all of those aspects. Convolution reverbs take a different tack. They take a recording of the sound of a real space, called an impulse response, or IR, and impose it on the main signal, making it sound like the instruments and voices were recorded in that actual space. I'll get into more detail about the technology of convolution reverbs later in the course. In fact, I'll get into a little more detail about all the relevant delay effects as I go through the various plugins. So, with this brief primer out of the way, let's jump into the plugins themselves, starting with Logic's most basic delay effects, sample delay and echo.